Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and you probably did, seeing that City won against Huddersfield yesterday. Okay, today I want to talk about a kid that I mentioned 2 or 3 days ago, and he's 22-year-old Everton Soares. And I want to mention him again because there's a lot more chat in the last couple of days about this guy. The rumour mill seems to be in full working order today, and so I thought I'd talk a little bit more about him, and rather than just what I did a couple of days ago, just mentioned him in passing along with a lot of other transfer targets and other chat about City. I just thought I'd make an actual video about this kid today, just a short video to give you a little bit more background and just to pass on some of the information I've gathered from watching YouTube videos and checking stuff on the internet. So Everton Soares, okay, a bit of background and some stats as to what he's up to at the moment. He's a 22-year-old kid and he plays for Gremio. Now, reading up on the old internet, he's been with them I think for 6 years, and in those 6 years he's made 132 appearances, scoring I think just over 31 or 32 goals, and he's got 9 assists as well, which is not bad for a kid. I mean, you've got to remember he's only just turned 22. Now, this season he's scored 10 goals in 28 games and he's had 3 assists. Still not bad, and he's been called up for Brazil, for the Brazil national team. I think that was last September. So it's all going in the right direction. It all looks really good, and the future looks bright for Everton Soares. Now, he's also played in the Copa Libertadores, big competition in South America. I think Gremio got to the semi-finals, and he played 8 times, scoring 5 goals, which is a pretty good return. And as I said, everything looks like it's going in the right direction, pointing the right way for this kid. And it was rumoured that City had bid, or were about to bid, 50 or 55 million pounds for this kid. Depends which publication you read. It's either 50 or 55 million quid. Now, it could just be it's 50 million quid and it's 55 million euros. I mean, this happens sometimes where, someone will say it's 55 million quid when it was really 55 million euros. But, I mean, it's by the by, it doesn't matter. It's a massive amount of money, really, for a 22-year-old kid who, at least in Europe, I mean, he's not burst upon the scene. He's not a big name that everybody's keeping their eye on. So, how good is he? Well, the only place you can really go, you can read a little bit of stuff on the internet, but you got to go to YouTube and watch some YouTube videos. Now, there's an advisory warning here, because just by watching 5 or 10 minutes of YouTube video doesn't tell you everything about a player. I mean, it can't do. It doesn't tell you about the standard of opposition. It'll give you an idea what the guy's up to, but it doesn't tell you about the standard of opposition, and it doesn't tell you if the guy can make it. And as other people might be better readers of players in the game than me, but sorry, if you're going to spend 50 million quid, on somebody and say he's going to make it at City, or he's good enough to make it at City by watching 5 or 10 minutes of YouTube videos, I'm sorry, you're just kidding the viewers. And we want to be honest with you guys. I've just watched a couple of videos just to get a better idea of what the kid's about. So, having a look at what the kid's about, well, from the videos I've seen, he looks to have a decent close control, very fast feet, and he's got an eye for goal. Now, he's happy to either dribble past people to get into the box to create his goal scoring opportunity, but he seems very happy just to create that yard of space and then have a pop at goal. And to have both of those tricks in your bag is really, really useful, and it's going to really help him as he goes forward. Just to have that speed of thought, that speed of movement, the fast feet, just to hit the ball to a yard to one side, to create that opening to get to ahead of it or to the side of a defender, to be able to have a pop at goal. I think that's really, really important. So what else can I tell you about this kid? He's got a bit of pace. He looks powerful. He's a bit small. I think he's about 5'7", 5'8", something like that. I can't remember the exact, but it's about 5'7", 5'8", which, if you, I don't usually like to make comparisons, and you laugh at other people's comparisons. They knew this, they knew that, they knew that. But you never know. I mean, you know, he looks like a pocket rocket with an eye for a goal, happy to dribble into the box, strong and powerful and short and stocky, move the ball quickly to one side and have a pop at goal. He's going to remind you a little bit. It reminded me a little bit of Sergio Aguero. You know, I mean, there's none out there. There's no comparisons really with Sergio. I mean, he's an exceptional talent, is our Sergio. But I mean, this kid, you never know. I mean, he's only 22. He's got a bit of obviously more development to go through with him. But you've got to be wary as well of kids who are bigged up in South America. The hype can go crazy to crazy levels, and then they can't make it in Europe, and either they were not good enough or other factors get involved. So you've got to be, as I said, very wary of that. I mean, it's a big culture shock to come from South America. You know, let's say from Brazil. I mean, we've taken a few players from Brazil recently. It's a big culture shock to come from Brazil. You got a new language. I mean, in Brazil they speak Portuguese, but it's not the same Portuguese as you'd get in Portugal. Similar, but it's not exactly the same. So you've got the language shock or you know, issues. You've got weather. I mean, you know, okay, it depends whereabouts in Europe you go. If you're coming to Northern Europe, cold and wet. And if you're coming from Brazil, it might be wet, but it's a lot hotter over there. And you've got family as well. And you know, if you're at a lower level, you might not be able to bring your family with you. You might not be able to afford it. I mean, I think you could. Generally, you can now these days. But if you're at a high level, if you come across as a Neymar, or you know, even look at Gabby Jesus. I mean, he's on good money, good contracts. Money's not everything, you know, and he's had struggles, and I think he's admitted it. He seems to have admitted that without having his family around, it's been hard. It's been a struggle, you know, with everything. I mean, his English, it looks like it's coming on well. He's settled in. I mean, obviously the team and his teammates and the friends you get from the players around you, that's fantastic. But it's not the same as having a family, whether it's your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, a girlfriend, kids, whatever. You know, and I think that's mentioned as well, to have some stability in your life and to have not an outlet, but other things to do. Because I mean, you know, you're 21, 22 years old, you've got no or very few friends or a girlfriend or whatever. What are you going to do with your time? You know, you're going to play football with the fellas, you know, with the guys at the ground. You have some friends with them. But when they go off back to their families and their wives and their kids and whatever, and you're back to your apartment or your house and you're on your own and it's empty, that can be a really tough thing for a kid, regardless whether he's playing football or not, for anybody to have to deal with. You know, new country, new language, new weather, like I said, new everything. And it's a lot to actually have to deal with. And we had Gabby Jesus, and he's been, on the whole, I think he's been a success. You know, he's certainly not been a failure because he's still here, still banging in the goals. He's had his ups and downs, no question about that. But I think he's been all right. We've also had, we took on Marlos Moreno. Now, he, at the time, I remember Tim Vickery, a big Brazilian correspondent. You hear him a lot on on the radio. I used to read him a lot in the papers or on the internet. I think he used to do stuff for the BBC, and he said Marlos Moreno was a bigger talent in his opinion than Gabby Jesus. And Marlos Moreno came to Europe, really struggled. He didn't make an impact. He failed basically, and is now back in Brazil. I think he's on his second or third club in Brazil. So he's been or in South America somewhere, but he's been moved around. He's just not. He didn't make it in Europe, and I'm not sure exactly how he's doing in South America, but he's certainly not good enough to come back. So you know, you can have your ups and downs. Douglas Luiz, another kid we took from South America, from Brazil, and he's had work permit issues, but he's in Girona. I think he struggled last season. You can argue that was the coach didn't like him or whatever. He's played a bit more this season, I believe, but he's still needs to find his feet. So it's a massive risk to spend somewhere in the region of 50 million quid on a long-term contract, which you'll be probably paying this kid £3 or £4 million a year for 5 or 6 years. So you know, your investment on if City were to buy Everton Soares would be somewhere in the region of 70 or 80 million pounds. That's a huge amount of money, and it's a lot of money to take a risk without really doing a lot of due diligence on the player. Now City what they do, they scout the players all over the world, but they do a lot of homework as to what the player's like and what his attitude is like and what his lifestyle is like. And I think that has put the kibosh on certain transfer deals because City weren't happy for whatever reason with the player's lifestyle or his attitude. You know, who's to say that was the reason why transfers like Fred didn't go through? I mean, I think Fred just started asking for more money. Don't like your attitude. Same with Sanchez, asking for more money, ridiculous amounts of money. Don't like your attitude. You know, whatever the reasons are. So City will go back away from transfers. No question about that. So there's a lot of work that goes into making these transfers happen. It's a lot of money involved. You know, as I said, a transfer fee of 50 million and salaries of that. You know, let's say for argument's sake he's on 80 grand a week. It's 4 million, just over 4 million quid a year. Now a 5-year contract, that's 20 million quid. There'll be other stuff as well. So you're looking at 80 million quid. As I said, it's a heck of a lot of money. And so you really need to be confident in not only the player's ability right now, his potential, and what the chances of him developing his potential, and what are the chances of him fitting in with the culture and the lifestyle, being in England, being in Manchester, you know, rainy old Manchester. So it's a lot to ask. But as I said, I've only seen a few YouTube videos of this kid. So what do I know? It's all in my opinion. But on the face of it, he looks a decent prospect, and you know, if I had 50 million quid to spare, I wouldn't be spending on him. You know, I'd be very nervous. But you know, there's a lot of very experienced people at City who are taking these decisions, making these decisions, and overall, you've got to say, generally they've been right in, you know, with who we've bought. Okay, we missed out on a few players, but generally you got to look at, I mean, just look at last season. Last season would, you know, wipe away just about any of their sins in the past, and we were fantastic. So Everton Soares, interesting looking kid, exciting looking kid. It looks like he's got a lot of potential. He plays with a smile on his face, and he's got all that trickery and everything else. And so we'll see. I mean, and it's not one for January. Maybe in the summer. You know, I mean, Sergio's got a couple of years left on him. So maybe Everton Soares might be somebody that City will bid for and buy. Guys, if you've got any suggestions of players that you want us to look at, just leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't just give us a name that we can't actually research and look on YouTube and actually have some information out there for us to read. You know, I mean, we can't watch the guys live, we can't watch a full game. You know, all we've got to go on is you know, what we can read on the internet and what we can see on YouTube videos, and that's pretty much about it. But we'll do what we can to try and do this on a regular basis about players that have come up that are linked to City. We just can't review guys who are just thrown out there. We know, at least we want a bit of a rumour that's linking them to City for whatever reason, and we'll see if we can look at those players. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, it'd be great if you can just click on the red subscribe button and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified as soon as we put out new videos. See you around, Blues.